Good afternoon. It's September 27th, and this is To My Liberal Friends. I'm a little late today because I've been spending the morning reading through the 82-page document that the Harris campaign put out. What I would say is, to most voters, the single most important issue is the economy. It's the issue that affects them in their personal lives. There are other issues out there like immigration, crime, and abortion, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, it's often said, quote, "It's the economy, stupid." I think most people have a basic understanding of where Trump will be on the economy. They can look at his 4 years as president and project what his policies will do if he's given another 4 years in the White House. He talks of cutting taxes, expanding energy exploration, and putting tariffs on foreign produced goods. And polling says that most voters currently trust Trump on the economy more than they do Kamala Harris. Well, this has forced the Harris team to finally get more specific about what she would do on the economy. Just saying that she grew up in a middle-class neighborhood, it's not going to cut it. And with that understanding, she's finally put some meat on the bare bones economic plan that she's been outlining. She declared that she's a capitalist. The result is that we now get some idea what to expect on the economic front should Kamala Harris win the election. Well, if you like Bidenomics, then you're going to love what Harris is proposing. As I read the 82-page document on her webpage, I see more government intrusion into our lives, and I'm not sure that's ever a good thing. But let's take a look at what she's proposing and what the impact of these proposals will be. First and foremost, she wants to raise taxes in as many places as possible without letting the middle class figure out that those increases will either be on them or be passed down to them. In typical Democratic fashion, she says that she wants corporations and the wealthy to pay their fair share. Now, as I've mentioned many times, she, along with other Democrats, never define what that fair share really is when you come down to it. It's become a vague term. It's supposed to suggest to the voter that somebody other than yourself should be paying more taxes. This means she supports the $5 trillion in tax hikes that are currently in the Biden budget plan. That would include a 25% tax on unrealized gains for high earners. There are some real problems with this concept, and if it's ever implemented, history tells it it would start to creep downward on the economic spectrum. Think about how that could affect you. You buy a house and 5 years later it gets assessed for about $100,000 more than you paid for it. Suddenly the government comes along and tells you you're going to be taxed on that gain. Now, you have no intention of selling the house because you live there, but you owe some big taxes. Of course, the value of the home could fall in the next couple of years, but don't expect the government to give you any of that money back. And Harris wants to raise the top capital gains tax to 33%. Currently, it's about 20%. Biden called for it to be 44%. But a proposal like that would have major impact on the markets, and your 401k or other retirement plan might take a hit. Coupled together, they would be one of the largest tax increases in our nation's history. Remember Biden's failed Build Back Better plan that never made it out of Congress, even though with the Democratic Senate? Harris wants to reinvent this plan so that she can expand entitlements such as child care, long-term care, paid leave, and other goodies. The Harris plan calls for more transfer payments, including a restoration of the March 21 COVID bill's $3,600 child tax credit, a new $6,000 credit for families with newborns, and tripling the earned income tax credit for childless adults. She calls these, quote, tax cuts, but they're income redistribution through the tax code and welfare since they go to people who don't pay taxes and just sends them a government check. Harris calls some of her major housing subsidies, including a historic expansion of the low-income tax credit, a first-ever tax incentive for building affordable homes for first-time buyers, and a $40 billion local innovation fund for housing expansion. Now, this is going to require local governments to cut any red tape and allow developers to use what she refers to as, quote, innovative building and construction techniques, end quote. I want you to think California, where you can start requiring new houses to have solar panels, all-electric appliances, no dishwashers, and of course, we can't forget a proposal to give first-time homebuyers a $25,000 federal grant. This is a thinly disguised move to attract young white-collar professionals, since they would be the bulk of these first-time buyers. It'll also fuel the market, driving up prices. It's just a flat-out government handout, and those funds will be paid for, guess what, by adding to the national debt. And we can't forget student loans. Harris wants to forgive more of the student debt, even though the court keeps telling both Biden and her that they don't have that power. Remember, even Nancy Pelosi said that was up to Congress before she saw the light, read that politics, of pandering to those owing the money. Under the Harris economic plan, she would expand government control over health care, and she would do this because she truly believes in a single-payer system controlled by the government. That's been her policy in the past. And we've already heard about her wanting to give the FTC the power to penalize food companies for what they would determine is price gouging for groceries. Come on, her campaign ignores that grocery stores operate on a 1.5% margin and rely on volume to be profitable. It's highly unconstitutional, I think, as well. The Harris plan promises to promote unions and override any right-to-work laws that states have passed. She wants the unions to be able to force everyone to join a union and thereby expand the power of the Democratic Party, even if the rank and file of the union don't agree with the union leadership. We had evidence of that with the Teamsters last week, who, if they'd listened to their members, they would have endorsed a candidate in the race, and it would have been Donald Trump. Carefully hidden in the plan is our total support for the new Green Deal, with more subsidies for solar panels and EVs, trying to use the government to force consumers to abandon any fossil fuel source of energy. All this and more adds up to a disguised bid to exceed even Joe Biden's historic expansion of government. The feds now control some 24% of GDP, and this would grow that share. So if you, as I said before, if you love Bidenomics, Kamala Harris is your candidate. It's been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.